Thank you. I have a story I'm going to share that Will Kime would have absolutely loved. The first act of my annual daddy daycare when I take care of my children over the summer was to take all my three kids to the Orlando Memorial for the Pulse nightclub mass shooting. While there, I noticed a bunch of guys walking around in blue polos, and as my kids were looking at all of the flowers and the pictures and the notes and everything, one of the gentlemen in the blue polo approached me and said how lovely my children were, and then asked if he could pray with us. And that's when I noticed on the blue polo the Billy Graham Ministries. So that's one of the things I learned from Will Kime, is that even though I'm Jewish and pretty Jewish, who am I to turn down a prayer or a blessing, no matter where it came from? So I agreed, and I gathered the kids around, and we had a circle and with two of the gentlemen in blue polos. And before he began, I kind of whispered to him, just so you know, we're Jewish. And the guy says, "Dear Lord." And I thought, all right, how am I going to explain to my children the part where he references Jesus, because it's Billy Graham Ministries? And I kept thinking, what am I going to do to not just to teach the kids about what just happened? So he began the prayer, and he talked about the tragedy. He talked about the power of love. He talked about my family. He even mentioned my wife. And then he got into Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And I thought, all right, I'm ready. But he stuck with my book, which is kind of cool. And he finished the prayer, and I did something that I rarely ever do in public prayers, is I said, amen. So later that day, we finished all the things that we were doing with the kids, and I get home, and when my wife came home from work, she asked the children, how was your day? What was cool about today? What Abigail remembered the most, she's my 9-year-old, what Abigail remembered the most was, Mommy, we prayed for you, because the man mentioned my wife in the prayer. And that's what stuck with Abigail. And Will Kime would absolutely love that, because, again, even though we're Jewish, who are we to turn down a prayer or a blessing? And I learned that from Will. Now, brothers, friends, you don't need to be from Orlando or St. Paul or Baton Rouge or Dallas or Washington, D.C. to say that this year has sucked. And even the last 2 months have sucked. And it's not just here, but all around the world. And still, I can't think of a time where I felt more sad about where we're living. But I turned to a quote from a man who really should have been a member of our fraternity, because the things he say are just so DU. And one of the quotes is, "Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. And hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that." And of course, that's Martin Luther King Jr., who should have been a DU. So what is it that we do with this world that we live in? We need light, and we need love. But man, we need action. It's just so overwhelming to think about it, because most of us are just too busy with our lives and, our little fraternity bubble, that life too, where we're worried about social calendars and recruitment events and CEP and all that stuff. But there's just so much to worry about the world, and what do we do about it? What do we do about it? We do what I've done ever since I joined the fraternity, and that is look to Delta Upsilon. We look to DU values and DU traditions and the DU ritual. Now, we have 4 founding principles, right? Promotion of friendship, development of character, diffusion of liberal culture, and the advancement of justice. Now, if we were to boil each of those principles down into only one word each, what would those words be? Go ahead. Yeah, friendship, character, culture, justice. Exactly. Now, that's great. And why is that great? Because it looks really, really good on a T-shirt, right? You can market that. Looks really good on a T-shirt. Now, the one word is friendship, right? To be a good friend, to treat people well, to develop a bond with one another, to understand, as Craig just said, the proper bearing of man toward man. But I think there's a little bit more for Delta Upsilon. I believe Delta Upsilon requires action. So I believe the one word is promotion. You see, it's fine that we're good friends, but that's not enough for DU. It's fine if we treat people well, and it's fine if we get along with others well, but that's not enough for Delta Upsilon. We are a fraternity of action. We must show others what friendship means. We must encourage those around us to be better friends with each other. At the very least, you guys got to stop walking around with these frowns and scowls on your face. Smile. Give a high five or a fist bump. For Delta Upsilon, we require action. It's not enough to be. We must promote friendship. The one word is character. To be the best version of yourself. To think critically about issues. To use reason and logic. To have integrity. To do what you say you will do. Character is who you are when no one's looking. You see, I think there's more for Delta Upsilon. We are a fraternity of action. I believe the one word is development. To keep doing those things, but in an upward spiral, right? To encourage those around us to engage in logical thinking, to be the best versions of themselves. It's fine if we have character, but that's not enough for DU. We must develop these traits not only in ourselves, but in the others around us. We must confront the smallest breaches of character wherever we see them pop up. And that, my friends, is a huge miss, big miss in our world, this bystander behavior thing that we have. And it's not even that difficult. All we have to say is, dude, not cool. For Delta Upsilon, we are a fraternity of action. It is not enough to be. We must develop character. Now, the one word is culture. To understand things outside of your comfort zone or personal experience, to live in another person's experience, to immerse yourself in the fine arts and the aesthetic beauty of life, to try everything. But see, I think there's more for Delta Upsilon. The one word, of course, being diffusion. Now, my chemists, I don't mean the intermingling of molecules, but diffusion, to spread out. It's fine if we understand the difference between impressionism and realism in art, but that's simply not enough for DU. I love the word diffusion because it really means to teach. The diffusion of liberal culture really means to teach a big amount of culture. This principle requires us to teach, to pass forward the ability to be cultured. For Delta Upsilon, we require action. It's not enough to be. We must diffuse culture. And now my favorite. The one word is justice. Fairness, rightness, impartiality. Brother Judge Terry Bullock from our Kansas State chapter has a great definition of justice. He would say, justice means doing the right thing for that reason alone. But still, I think there's more for DU. I believe the one word is advancement, to move it forward, to keep it going. It's fine if we are just and fair, fine. But that's just not enough for Delta Upsilon. We must advance. So pay attention, buckle up. This is about to get crazy. What do we do with this world? What do we do with all the headlines and the darkness and the pain and the negativity? We have to follow the roadmap of our 4 founding principles. The values of Delta Upsilon. We must promote friendship and develop character, diffuse liberal culture, and please advance justice. Delta Upsilon demands that of us. We have to take action. We got to pick some fights and name it, brothers. Racism, pick a fight. Guns, pick a fight. Poverty, hunger, government. Join me in education, but pick a fight. Advance justice. The fraternity demands that of us. And now, it's easy for me to stand up here and say, well, we should do this. I did it all last year. This is what we should do. But how? How do we do it? The first step is to go back to should have been brother Dr. King, another quote. He who passively accepts evil is as much involved in it as he who helped perpetrate it. He who accepts evil without protesting against it is really cooperating with it. That's the first step. So what are we going to do with that? We got to pay attention, brothers. We got to read up on what's happening. We have to learn, and then we got to take action and get off the fence. We got to stop being spectators. We need to promote and develop and diffuse and advance. Our fraternity demands that of us. We got to get out of this bubble we live in and do something. And I'd like to add that we make love the base of what we do. We have to have love as the basis of what we're going to do. Here is what is truly messed up about us. The things in life that drive the hugest wedge between us as individuals or as groups of people, the things that drive the hugest wedge between us are the things that we avoid discussing at all costs. What are the big three we just don't talk about? Politics, religion, and sex, right? Those are the big things we don't talk about it. And these are the things that tear us apart every single day, and we pretend they don't exist. So what happens? Those things destroy us, and we let it happen. We can't allow that anymore. We can't allow that anymore. In fact, we've been modeling it a little bit this weekend, but this weekend is only here in this hotel. We got to take action. At the very least, let's start having conversations that are probably uncomfortable. We can't learn tolerance or acceptance if we're not even going to have a conversation about the things that we think and believe. If we think and believe a thing but won't have a conversation about that, how is that supposed to get anything any better? One of my chapter brothers, Brad Marshall, had a party for his first birthday party for his son a couple months ago. Sterling, cute kid. Lots of friends, lots of family, everyone's there. On the invite, he warned us, because this is right after, everything. I don't know if you guys know, but Florida got beat up pretty bad a couple months ago. So on the invite, he warned us, don't bring up any sensitive topics because the guests were from a wide range of political values. And I knew that the party should be about Sterling and the birthday, and I got that. I understood. I did my best to be well behaved. But near the end of the party, everyone's taking pictures of Sterling and his smash cake for first birthday. And I couldn't help it anymore. I looked at Brad and I said, Trump, guns, ISIS, rape, I'm done. And then he looked at me and he said, get out of here. And then everyone started laughing. But man, isn't it? It's just strange. It's strange that we don't talk about these things that are the most important. We consciously avoid discussing what damages us the most. And what's stranger still is that we do it as DUs, because that's all we used to do as a fraternity, is have those discussions, which is why we were called the social fraternity. It's time we start having those tough discussions again about politics and religion and sex. And if we get uncomfortable with those discussions, that's on us. That's our problem, right? It might mean that we might not be as grounded in our beliefs as we thought, or we might not even know why we think or believe the things we think and believe. And that, my friends, is not character. So we got to do one of two things. Either make sure we can use logic and reason to defend the things that we think and believe, or simply open ourselves to the possibility of change. That is hard. Oh, that is hard. Not many people can do that, but that's what our fraternity demands of us, right? Pay attention. There is an urgency of now outside of this hotel. It goes beyond when we go back to work. It goes beyond when we go back to our chapter meetings. There's an urgency of now. We have fights on our hands right now that we have got to take action, get off the fence, and engage. And how do we do it? I'm finally going to tell you, but you're not going to like the answer because it's a bad word. How do we do it? How do we fight? politics. Now, I'm not talking about choosing sides. I'm not going to stand up here and tell you about Republicans and Democrats and Hillary and Trump and whoever. That's up to you. What I'm going to talk about is just getting involved in the process. I'm talking about solutions that have to be created through something that just doesn't exist, and that is called intelligent and rational conversations. You ever watch a news program? Intelligent and rational conversations. Those are not taking place right now. I am talking about the end of passively accepting evil or pain or darkness or hate. We got to get involved. We got to pay attention. Here's the problem. Pay attention. I'm going to talk numbers for a second, which, I do. In the United States, our Congress, as well as our president, is selected by only between 20 and 30% of registered voters. That's just simple math using simple majority winners and the reality of voter turnout. And that is insane. That's insane. Selected by 20 to 30% of registered voters. And we're not supposed to talk about politics? Are you kidding? So I'm going to talk about politics. I'm going to do it in a way Will taught me. I'm going to make a little list. I'm going to use my fingers to count them off. He loved doing that. Step 1, vote. Step 2, get into the position to have an influence. Step 3, be heard. And step 4, pick your fight. If you're in this room and you're over the age of 18, you'd better be registered to vote. Better be. And if you are registered to vote, you'd better vote in primaries. You know what primaries are? You know those November percentages I told you about where people are selected by 20 to 30% of the registered voters. In primaries, that number is cut in half. It's only primaries though, right? Who gets selected in primaries? No big deal. Things like judges and county commissioners, city council, school board members, tax collectors, property appraisers. Oh, just everybody that impacts your life. That's who gets elected in primaries. By the end of this August/September, only 30% of registered voters will be voting in the primaries. That is insane. That's insane. And we don't talk about politics. So, step number 1, cast your dang vote, guys. Advance justice. Show up to the polls and vote. But what if you don't know about what you should be voting on? What if you don't know about certain races? Fine. Pick one thing, learn it, vote on it. Once you vote, you're now on the books. I've seen it from the other side. You're now on the books. All the campaigns know you vote. And in the next cycle, whenever they start looking for votes again, they're going to start talking to you. Yeah, they're going to call you. Yeah, you're going to get mail. And yeah, they'll knock on your door. Deal with it. Because you're getting into position, right? Because you vote, and trust me, votes are precious. That little school board race Craig mentioned a couple years ago, 15,000 people showed up to vote. 14% voter turnout. 66 votes I lost by. Your votes count, guys. Everybody knows. Once you vote, they come to you. So advice number 1, vote. Advice number 2, get into position to have influence. Advance justice. Take action. Here's how. I'm telling you how, right? So pay attention. What if you don't think you have influence? No, it's just me. My vote don't count, right? What if that's you? Do you have a yard? Can you put a sign? Do you have a bumper for a sticker or a window for a sticker? Can you wear a t-shirt? Do you have social media? Can you donate just $5 to a campaign? Guys, you got influence, a lot of influence. We all have influence, but we don't know. So use it. Pick a thing you care about. Let everyone know you care about it, and then be heard. Now, either support a candidate that feels the same way you do, or contact your legislators. Now, I hope you heard that. Your legislators. We are so not paying attention. These guys are yours and gals, either on the school board, city council, county commission, state senate, U.S. Congress. They're yours. You own them. They're your people. So write letters, make phone calls, send emails, share stuff on social media. Please volunteer for a campaign. So number 1, cast your vote. Number 2, get into position to have an influence. And number 3, be heard. That's how you make a change. But what if you don't like any of the candidates? Not like that's real. What if you don't like any of the candidates? Fine. Support a cause. A cause. Like education. Come join me. Pick a cause. Or climate, or racism, or poverty, or guns, hunger, economics, anything. Guys, listen carefully. We can all support something, even if we can't support somebody. Hope you understood that. As you become involved, this is what happens. A neat thing happens when you become involved. You start to make a difference. People start initiating conversations with you, and then people start to know your name. You get invited to functions. They ask you your opinion on these issues. Once that happens, you're now off the fence. You're now in the game, right? And that's where you can make your difference. That's where you pick your fight. So number 1, cast your vote. Number 2, get into position to be heard. Number 3, be heard. And number 4, pick your fight. Your fight. We got so much to worry about in this world and so much work to do. Do it. When you get engaged in the political process, you're actually taking action. This is the point when you're promoting and developing and diffusing and advancing. But you gotta take action. Get out of your dang bubble. T-shirts and calendars and even us, work and daycare. That's not important. But you gotta get off the fence. Get into the fight. Now, at the very least, what we need to do is get into a rational, intelligent, and probably uncomfortable conversation about things. We got to start talking about the things we're not supposed to. But remember before I said we have to base it all on love. No matter what we do, it's got to be based on love and on light. Remember, light can only drive out darkness, and love can only defeat hate. That day, when I had my kids at the Pulse shooting memorial, we had lunch on a patio. I packed our lunch. So we had lunch on this patio, a bunch of people there, men and women, old and young, black, white, everything in between. And that was the moment I decided to have the conversation with my children. Now, not Jonah, he's 3, he doesn't care to know. But I had to have the conversation with Abigail and Madeline, 9 and 6, right? So I said, girls, do you know why this happened? Do you know why these bad things happen? Because most people just don't feel the same way I do. Would you like to learn more? I always give my kids an out. As you can see, I talk a lot. So if I pause and I see that they're disinterested, I'm done. So I told them, most people don't feel the way I do. Do you want to know what I'm talking about? And the girl said, yeah, Daddy, I do. Awesome. Look around this patio. Do you see these people sitting here? I'm going to tell you a secret. I love them. I don't know them at all. Never met them. Couldn't tell you a thing about them, but I love them. My girls were really confused because they're 9 and 6. They're like, but I thought you loved me. And I said, and so I had to fix it. It's like, not the same way I love you and not the same way I love Mommy. But that feeling that I have toward these people, that is love. I love them. I want you to be able to see the beauty in everybody around you. I want you to see, no matter what their outside looks like, possibly smells like, I want you to see beauty in them. And most people just don't do that. And that is why things like this shooting happened. So girls, we have a job to do, and that job is love. Brothers, all of us here, and soon-to-be brother, Zach, guide your life by 4 words, but the 4 words for action, please, because we really need it right now. We really need promotion and development and diffusion and advancement. We need action. And how you do it is seriously politics. You've got to get involved politically. And uncomfortable. But please do that. Pick your fight and make a difference in the world, please. And whatever you do, base it all on love. Whatever you do, advance justice, base it on love. I don't know you, but I love you. And guess what? Now we're going to be brothers. So, congratulations, and thank you all for your time.